Have you ever received a message so unexpected, so unsettling, that you instantly knew your life would never return to the way it was just 5 minutes before? That's exactly what happened to me. My name is Dr. Adrian Cole, a 58-year-old family doctor living in the quiet mountain town of Bluestone Ridge, Colorado. It's the kind of place where people wave from their porches, neighbors know your dog's name, and the loudest thing at night is the wind sliding across pine trees. Peaceful, predictable. At least it used to be. 3 weeks after my son's wedding, the happiest day I believed he'd ever had, my life began splitting open from a crack I didn't even know was there. It started like any other Thursday morning. I was alone in my clinic, finishing up patient charts, sipping lukewarm coffee that tasted like burnt hope, when my phone buzzed on the desk. The screen flashed, unknown number. Normally I don't answer. People who need me usually know how to find me. But something, instinct, fate, a whisper of dread, told me to pick it up. Dr. Cole. A man's voice. Shaky. Uneven. Like he'd been crying or running, or hiding. Yes, who is this? This is Miles. Miles Turner. I was the videographer for Ethan's wedding. Immediately, my stomach tightened. Not because of Miles. He seemed like a kid doing his best. But because weddings don't usually come with follow-up calls. Not unless something is wrong. Terribly wrong. I'm sorry to bother you, he continued. But I found something. Something in footage. He paused. Not dramatically. Fearfully. Something you need to see. I frowned. What do you mean, something? I can't explain on the phone, he whispered. Please, sir. You need to come to my studio today. And please come alone. My eyebrows knit together. Alone. Yes. And whatever you do, don't tell Ethan. And especially don't tell Chloe. At the mention of her name, my new daughter-in-law, radiant and smiling in every wedding photo, my pulse spiked. What is this about? I demanded, my voice firmer. Miles swallowed audibly. Even through the phone, I could hear the tremor in his breath. I'm so sorry, Dr. Cole. I never meant to find this, but once I did, I couldn't ignore it. Another shaky breath. Please, come now. Before I could ask another question, the call dropped. Not ended. Dropped. Cut off mid-breath, as if someone had yanked the phone out of his hand. For several seconds, I sat there completely still, the phone pressed to my ear, listening to the silence that suddenly felt heavier than the clinic walls around me. I stared at the only photo on my desk. Ethan and Chloe on their wedding day, smiling like two people who believed the world was soft and safe, and theirs to build. I'd spent $52,000 making sure that day was perfect. Every flower, every light, every seat, all of it chosen to erase one thing. My guilt. When Ethan was 8, his mother, my wife, Sarah, died in a car accident while I was working the overnight shift at the hospital. I wasn't there. I wasn't there for him. Not emotionally. Not physically. Not the way a father should be. Ethan spent much of his teenage years angry at me, though he was too gentle to say it. He pulled away quietly, like someone slowly backing up from fire that used to warm them. I always believed the wedding would be our turning point, my chance to show him that I was present now, that I could give him the support he deserved, the support I'd failed to give him as a child. And for one day, I thought I had. But now a videographer was telling me not to tell my son or his new wife about something he found. Something serious. Something he sounded terrified to even mention over the phone. My piece cracked right there on that desk. For the first time in years, I felt the old panic clawing at my chest. The same panic I felt the night Sarah died. A feeling that something precious was slipping away again, and I'd be powerless to stop it. I grabbed my coat and keys and walked out of the clinic without locking the door. I didn't even realize I'd left the lights on until later. The parking lot was empty, the sky a pale winter blue, beautiful in a way that made the dread inside me even stranger. Why does life always look the most peaceful right before it rips itself apart? As I walked toward my car, a memory hit me, uninvited. Ethan, age 12, sitting on the edge of his bed, staring at the wall. I just wish, he whispered, You would notice when something's wrong with me. 12-year-old boys shouldn't have to say things like that, and fathers should never forget them. I didn't know it then, but the message from Miles wasn't just going to reveal a secret. It was going to force me to face every failure I'd ever tried to bury. It was going to show me that the past doesn't stay dead. It waits. It watches. It returns at the exact moment you think you're safe. I didn't know it then, but I was walking into the first moment of a story that would break me and remake me in ways I never imagined. What had Miles found in the wedding footage? Why was he so afraid to say it out loud? And why, above everything else? Why couldn't I tell my own son? I didn't know the answers yet, but I was about to. And once I stepped into that studio, nothing, absolutely nothing, would ever be the same again. If you were about to learn the most painful truth of your life, would you rather hear it whispered gently, or have it strike you like a hammer you never saw coming? I didn't know which one I preferred, but standing in front of the old brick building where Miles had a studio, I had a feeling I wasn't going to like either option. His studio sat above a tiny bakery that smelled of fresh cinnamon bread. It should have been comforting. It wasn't. Every step up the narrow wooden stairs felt like walking deeper into a story I wasn't prepared to read. When I reached the top, the attic door swung open before I even knocked. Miles Turner, mid-20s, skinny, eyes sunken from sleepless nights, stood there sweating despite the chill air. "Dr. Cole," he whispered. "Come in. Quickly." He glanced down the stairs as if someone might be following me. That's when the dread settled deeper into my stomach. This wasn't just a nervous kid. This was a man afraid of what he found. He shut the door behind us and turned the lock. The click echoed through the small attic like a warning. The studio was cramped, barely enough room for a desk, 2 chairs, and rows of hard drives stacked like fragile dominoes. A single window overlooked the bakery roof, sunlight slipping in through dusty glass. It felt like the kind of place secrets went to suffocate. "Dr. Cole," he said, voice shaking. "I'm really, really sorry." "Sorry for what? Sorry for calling me? Sorry for finding something? Sorry for what I was about to see." I didn't know, and Miles looked too scared to say it. He walked to his computer. His fingers hovered above the keyboard before he finally pressed a key, almost like he was afraid the screen might explode. A video file opened. "Please just watch," he whispered, and the footage began. At first, it was nothing strange, just the hallway of the mountain lodge where the wedding took place. Tall pine walls, dim golden lighting, soft classical music drifting in from the ceremony hall. The timestamp in the corner read, 2 hours before the ceremony. My son Ethan walked into frame, nervous, adjusting his tie, pacing like someone trying to outrun his own heart. That part was normal. Every groom gets nervous. But then the air in the room changed. A woman stepped into the hallway. Not Chloe. If you were about to learn the most painful truth of your life, would you rather hear it whispered gently, or have it strike you like a hammer you never saw coming? I didn't know which one I preferred, but standing in front of the old brick building where Miles had a studio, I had a feeling I wasn't going to like either option. His studio sat above a tiny bakery that smelled of fresh cinnamon bread. It should have been comforting. It wasn't. Every step up the narrow wooden stairs felt like walking deeper into a story I wasn't prepared to read. When I reached the top, the attic door swung open before I even knocked. Miles Turner, mid-20s, skinny, eyes sunken from sleepless nights, stood there sweating despite the chill air. "Dr. Cole," he whispered. "Come in. Quickly." He glanced down the stairs as if someone might be following me. That's when the dread settled deeper into my stomach. This wasn't just a nervous kid. This was a man afraid of what he found. He shut the door behind us and turned the lock. The click echoed through the small attic like a warning. The studio was cramped, barely enough room for a desk, 2 chairs, and rows of hard drives stacked like fragile dominoes. A single window overlooked the bakery roof, sunlight slipping in through dusty glass. It felt like the kind of place secrets went to suffocate. "Dr. Cole," he said, voice shaking. "I'm really, really sorry." "Sorry for what? Sorry for calling me? Sorry for finding something? Sorry for what I was about to see." I didn't know, and Miles looked too scared to say it. He walked to his computer. His fingers hovered above the keyboard before he finally pressed a key, almost like he was afraid the screen might explode. A video file opened. "Please just watch," he whispered, and the footage began. At first, it was nothing strange, just the hallway of the mountain lodge where the wedding took place. Tall pine walls, dim golden lighting, soft classical music drifting in from a ceremony hall. The timestamp in the corner read, 2 hours before the ceremony. My son Ethan walked into frame, nervous, adjusting his tie, pacing like someone trying to outrun his own heart. That part was normal. Every groom gets nervous. But then the air in the room changed. A woman stepped into the hallway. Not Chloe. Not anyone Ethan should be meeting alone before the wedding. She wore a silver dress, simple, elegant, familiar. She walked right up to Ethan. No hesitation. No pause. And she kissed him. Not a quick kiss. Not a mistake. A slow, familiar kiss you give someone you've known in ways you shouldn't. And my son, my boy, he kissed her back. My breath caught in my throat. I gripped the edge of the desk, so hard my knuckles turned white. Miles froze the frame. Ethan, kissing a woman who wasn't his bride, 2 hours before saying I do. For a moment, everything in the room went quiet. So quiet I swear I could hear my own heartbeat splitting in two. Miles swallowed and spoke barely above a whisper. "Dr. Cole, that woman is Chloe's mother." My entire world tilted. Her mother? I managed to breathe. Miles nodded quickly, eyes darting to the floor. "Yes. I checked. I triple-checked. It's definitely her." I felt my chest tighten, painful, sharp, like something tearing open inside. "That doesn't make sense," I muttered. "It can't be her. They barely spoke at the rehearsal dinner." Miles didn't answer. He just pressed another key. The video continued. Ethan leaned his forehead against the woman's. They exchanged words, too soft for the camera to pick up. Then she touched his cheek gently, intimately, like this wasn't the first time. Then the video ended. Just black screen. My hands were trembling. Why would he do that? I wasn't even talking to Miles anymore. I was talking to the universe. Miles hesitated, then pulled up another window, an email chain. Dozens of messages. Different addresses. Hidden senders. "Dr. Cole, before you watch the second clip, you need to understand something." He turned the monitor slightly toward me. These emails weren't sent to me by accident. Someone wanted me to find this. Someone wanted me to show you. My pulse hammered in my temples. "What are you saying?" I asked slowly. Miles looked at me with eyes full of guilt. "Someone orchestrated this," he whispered. "Someone sent me links, time codes, instructions. They knew what was on the footage before I even reviewed it." "And who was it?" I asked. Miles hesitated. "I don't know, but the messages always ended the same way." He opened one email. At the bottom, a single sentence. "Show him the truth he refuses to see." A chill shot through me. "Show who?" I asked. Miles looked up directly into my eyes. "You." Before I could question him further, he clicked into another folder. "Dr. Cole, before we go any further, there's one thing I need to tell you." My heart sank deeper. In this story, the viewers already know part of the truth. His voice trembled. They know what Ethan did. He swallowed hard, but what they don't know yet is why he did it, or what Chloe did before he broke. My chest tightened again. What did Chloe do? I whispered. Miles didn't answer. He simply pressed play on the second clip. The screen lit up, and what I saw next would drag me into a world of secrets, manipulation, and betrayal so deep, I would question everything I thought I knew about my son, my new daughter-in-law, and even myself. Have you ever thought you reached the bottom of your pain, only to discover there was a deeper level waiting beneath it? That's exactly where I was headed when I walked into my quiet house that evening, carrying the weight of Miles's videos like a stone tied to my chest. The moment the front door clicked shut behind me, the silence felt heavier than any noise. I dropped my keys on the counter and sat in the dark, replaying the footage in my mind. My son Ethan, with Chloe's mother, kissing her like a man who had kissed her before. It made no sense. Not with the Ethan I raised. Not with the Ethan I knew. But the camera doesn't lie. I open the file on my laptop again. Press play. Watch the hallway scene unfold. Once, twice, 20 times. Each replay was a sharper knife. But beneath the pain, another emotion stirred. Something I hadn't felt since Sarah died. Anger. Heavy. Hot. Not at Ethan. Not even at Chloe's mother. But at whoever had decided to twist this family, like a rope pulled from both ends, until it snapped. Who sent the emails to Miles? Who wanted me to see this? Who signed each message with, "Show him the truth he refuses to see"? That question scratched at my chest. Then, at exactly 7 p.m., the front door opened. No knock. No hesitation. Just pushed open like the person owned the house. I turned. Standing there, framed by the soft glow of the porch light, was Chloe, my daughter-in-law. But that word suddenly felt too fragile to use. Her eyes were swollen, her cheeks streaked with tears. She looked like someone who had been running, or like someone whose whole world had collapsed in her hands. "Dad," she whispered. The word struck me harder than the videos. She'd never called me that. Not once. Not even at the wedding reception, when she hugged me politely and said, "Thank you for everything, Dr. Cole." Now she stood trembling, clutching a folded piece of paper. "Chloe, what happened?" I asked, standing slowly. She held out the letter with hands that shook. "Ethan left," she choked out. "He's gone." My breath stopped. "What do you mean, gone?" "He packed a bag. He walked out this morning. He won't answer his phone. He won't respond to my texts." A sob broke through her voice. "He left this behind." I unfolded the letter, my heart pounding harder with each word. "Chloe, I know what you did. I know everything. I need space." It felt like the floor shifted under me. I looked up at her. She was shaking her head violently. "I didn't cheat," she said. "I swear on everything, I didn't cheat, Dad." She collapsed into the nearest chair, burying her face in her hands. "But Ethan, he thinks I did. He thinks I betrayed him." I sat down across from her. "What did you do, Chloe?" I asked quietly, not accusing, just tired. So tired. She swallowed, wiping her eyes. 1 week before the wedding, I met my ex-fiancé for lunch. Her voice broke again. "I shouldn't have gone. I know that. But I needed closure. I needed to tell him I was ready to move on. That Ethan was the one. And you didn't tell Ethan." She shook her head slowly, shamefully. "I was scared he'd think it meant something. It didn't. I just needed to say goodbye." "And Ethan found out?" "No," she let out a bitter laugh. "He didn't find anything. Someone sent him a photo. Just one photo. Me and my ex leaving the cafe. The angle made it look like we were holding hands." I leaned back, heart sinking deeper. Someone sent Ethan a photo. Someone sent me the video. Someone was orchestrating all of this. Who would send him that? I asked, already knowing the answer wasn't simple. I don't know," she whispered. "But whoever it was, they wanted him to believe the worst." My mind raced. The emails to Miles with instructions. The anonymous sender pushing the wedding footage. The perfectly timed reveal. This wasn't random. Someone was pulling strings. Someone close enough to know every weak point in Ethan's life and mine. Chloe drew a shaky breath. "I love Ethan," she said. "More than anything. I would never hurt him." She caught my eyes, desperate. "Did he talk to you? Did he say where he might go?" I shook my head. But inside, a cold realization crept through me. The villain of this story wasn't Ethan. And it wasn't Chloe. It was whoever sent those messages. Whoever wanted me to see that footage. Whoever weaponized a photograph to destroy a relationship right before it had even begun. Someone familiar. Someone persistent. Someone with motive. As Chloe cried silently in my living room, I felt clarity rising like smoke in the back of my mind. There was only one person who knew enough about Ethan's fears, his insecurities, his history, and who hated me enough to want everything around me to collapse. Someone who thought Ethan needed a better family. Someone who believed I didn't deserve him. Nora, my late wife's sister. The woman who had hated me for years. The woman who once told me, You lost the right to guide Ethan the day you failed to save his mother. A shiver ran down my spine. Was she behind this? Chloe sniffed and whispered, "Dad, what do we do now?" I didn't have the answer, but I knew one thing. Whoever started this wanted us broken, and I was about to find out why. But not before things got far, far worse. Have you ever suspected someone was working against you, but needed just one piece of proof before the entire puzzle finally snapped into place? The moment when suspicion turned into certainty, and certainty turned into fear. Not fear of what had happened, but fear of what was coming next. I woke the following morning with a pounding headache and a heart that felt bruised. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the wedding hallway, Ethan's face, Chloe's tears, and that last line from his letter. "I know what you did." But she didn't cheat. I believe that now. The real question was, who convinced Ethan she had? And why? I knew I couldn't just sit at home waiting for answers, so I drove to Ethan's workplace, a tech firm downtown where he worked as a data analyst. The office building looked too normal for a day that had already felt like a nightmare. People walked in holding coffee cups, chatting casually, unaware that my world was unraveling thread by thread. Inside, the receptionist recognized me instantly. "Dr. Cole, Ethan isn't in today." "I know," I said quietly. "I need to speak with his supervisor. It's urgent." She nodded and led me down a hallway to a glass office where Mr. Lambert, the department head, sat typing. He stood when we entered. "Adrian, I'm glad you came." "Where's Ethan?" I asked without sitting. Lambert sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. "He's okay, at least physically, but he told me he needs time off. Said he can't focus. Said everything feels like it's collapsing around him." My heart sank. "Did he say where he's staying?" I asked. "No," Lambert replied. "He didn't." "But," he paused, hesitating. "But what?" I pressed. Lambert exhaled slowly. "Someone came here yesterday, asking about him, asking where he might go when he disappears." My chest tightened. "Who?" Lambert glanced toward the closed office door. "She said she was your daughter." The world tilted. "My daughter?" I repeated. Lambert nodded. "She said she was concerned about Ethan. She asked if he'd left any emergency contact information." She looked determined. Determined. There was only one person who could fit that description, and she wasn't my daughter. I could practically hear the blood rushing in my ears. "Did she give a name?" I asked, though I already knew. Lambert frowned, thinking. "Graves," he said. "Yes, Nora Graves." Cold. I felt cold from head to toe. "Thank you," I whispered. He placed a hand on my shoulder. "I hope your family gets through whatever this is." But this wasn't a family problem. This was a targeted strike. As soon as I got in my car, I called Chloe. She didn't answer, probably exhausted from the night before. So I drove. Not home. Not to Ethan's apartment. I drove to the cabin. Nora's cabin. My late wife's sister. The woman who always looked at me like I was a stain on her view of the world. The woman who believed I had failed Sarah. The woman who believed I had failed Ethan. The woman who believed she could do better, and never forgave me for not giving her the chance. Aunt Nora had always been a thorn in my life, but I never expected her to become a weapon. Yet here we were. Her cabin sat on the edge of Bluestone Ridge, hidden between tall pine trees and boulders blackened by winter storms. It was the kind of place someone went when they wanted to be alone, or when they wanted to plan something without being watched. I pulled into the gravel driveway, heart pounding. The door opened before I even knocked. Nora stood there, arms crossed, expression sharp enough to cut glass. "Well," she said coldly, "I've been expecting you." The way she said it, it wasn't a surprise. It was a victory. I stepped inside. "Nora," I said quietly, "we need to talk." "We do," she replied, shutting the door behind me with a soft click, "because Ethan finally did the right thing." "What did you do?" I demanded. Her lips curled. I showed him the truth neither of you wanted him to see. My heart pounded. "You sent him the photo of Chloe at the cafe." Yes, she said unapologetically. And I sent the emails to the videographer. And I made sure Chloe's mask finally slipped. I stared at her. You destroyed his marriage. No, she snapped, stepping closer. You broke Ethan years ago. I'm simply helping him realize who he should have trusted. Trusted you? I whispered. Nora looked at me with an expression full of cold fire. He deserves better than you. Better than Chloe. Better than this entire mess. I'm the only one who actually cares about him. You care about control, I said. Her eyes flashed. You think love excuses your failures, she hissed. You weren't there for him after Sarah died. I should have raised him. I told you that. Everyone told you that. Ethan was happier with me than he ever was with you. I felt something inside me snap. The same way a rope snaps under pressure that's been applied too long. This isn't about Ethan, I said. This is about your obsession. Call it what you want, she said, chin raised. But soon, Ethan will see he belongs with me. His real family. Not with a traitor like Chloe. Not with a failure like you. Everything clicked. Nora wasn't just manipulating Ethan. She wanted to replace me. Replace Chloe. Rebuild a family in her image. She wasn't doing this for Ethan's good. She was doing it because in her twisted mind, this was justice. You think he'll choose you? I said softly. He already has, she whispered. Those words hit like a blow. But they created a new question. One more terrifying than any before. If Ethan believed Nora, if he trusted her more than us, where was he now? And what exactly had she told him? About me? The truth was coming. But before it arrived, we were going to walk through fire. Have you ever reached a moment where rage and heartbreak mix so tightly together that you can't tell one from the other? A moment where you feel yourself changing, and not in a way you ever thought you were capable of? The moment where the line between right and wrong began to blur. Leaving Nora's cabin felt like walking out of a burning building. But the fire wasn't behind me. It was inside me, spreading, twisting, feeding on every regret I had tried to bury for the last 20 years. Her words echoed through my skull like a curse I couldn't shake. He'll come to me eventually. Everyone does. The confidence in her voice terrified me more than anything she had confessed. She wasn't hoping Ethan would choose her. She was expecting it, counting on it, like she had already planned the next 10 steps. As I drove away from her cabin through the winding forest road, my hand shook against the steering wheel. My visions blurred, not from tears, from fury. Every lie she fed Ethan, every manipulation, every seed of doubt planted in his heart, was more than cruelty. It was strategy. Nora wasn't just acting out of jealousy. She was acting out of delusion. A belief that she, not me, was meant to be his parent, his guide, his protector, his everything. She wasn't fighting for Ethan. She was claiming him. And she was willing to destroy me and Chloe to make that happen. I pulled over to the side of the road because my hands were shaking so violently I couldn't keep driving. Cold air poured in as I opened the window, but it did nothing to cool the inferno in my chest. For the first time in my life, I felt something I thought I had buried forever, the desire for revenge. Not petty anger, not frustration, but a bone-deep hunger to make the person who hurt my family feel every ounce of the pain she had inflicted. I hated myself for feeling it, but I couldn't escape it. Nora had crossed a line you don't cross unless you want a war. But even as anger burned, another emotion clawed its way in. Fear, because beneath all of Nora's venomous confidence, there was something much more dangerous. She believed Ethan was already on her side, and that possibility shook me. What if he had gone to her? What if he was staying with her right now? I replayed our confrontation in my mind, trying to catch the smallest hint of truth in her words. But Nora was unpredictable. She swung between logic and madness, like a pendulum with a cracked chain. I needed clarity. I needed to find Ethan. I needed to know the truth before my imagination destroyed me from the inside out. I forced myself to breathe and pulled back onto the road. When I got home, the house was silent. Chloe had gone home to rest, leaving me alone with the walls and the memories. The weight of it all crushed me. I sat on the edge of the couch, elbows on my knees, head hanging low, trying to hold myself together. I thought about the man I used to be, the father I should have been, the years after Sarah died when Ethan needed me, and all I gave him was absence. Was this somehow my fault? Maybe Nora was right. Maybe I had failed Ethan so badly that she saw an opportunity to step in. Maybe she believed she was saving him. And that thought, that twisted justification, made me feel sick. Because if Nora truly believed she was doing the right thing, then she wouldn't stop. Not until she had him. Not until she reshaped Ethan's world to fit her own fractured image of love and loyalty. I buried my face in my hands. I felt defeated, ashamed, lost, for the first time since Sarah's death. I felt like I had absolutely no control, like the universe had placed me on trial and handed Nora the gavel. Where was Ethan? Was he safe? Did he believe her? Or worse, what lies had she planted in his mind about me? Minutes turned into hours as I sat in that dark living room, watching the shadows crawl across the walls. I thought about calling the police, reporting Nora for harassment or manipulation. But what would I say? My sister-in-law convinced my grown son to run away because she's emotionally unhinged. No one would take that seriously. I thought about confronting Miles again. I thought about tracking Nora's phone. I thought about driving through every road in Bluestone Ridge until I found Ethan wandering somewhere. But none of it felt right. None of it felt enough. I felt helpless. Utterly and completely helpless. Until the unexpected happened. At 11:42 p.m., just as I was about to force myself to lie down and pretend to sleep, there was a sound. A soft knock. 3 gentle taps on the front door. My heartbeat froze. Was it Chloe? A neighbor? The police? Or Ethan? I stood slowly, the air tightening in my lungs. My footsteps were quiet as I walked toward the door. My hand hesitated on the knob. I wasn't ready for what might be on the other side, but I turned it anyway. And when the door opened, my breath caught completely, because standing on my porch, under the glow of the porch light, hair messy, face tired, eyes hollow but familiar, was my son, Ethan. But his presence didn't bring relief, because the look in his eyes was not the look of a man coming home. It was the look of a man torn in half. And I knew, before a single word left his mouth, that whatever came next would change everything. Some moments in life don't arrive gently. They don't knock politely or ease their way into your world. They crash in, uninvited, unexpected, and change everything you believed about love, forgiveness, and family. For me, that moment came at 3 a.m., when a soft knock broke the silence of a sleepless night. I wasn't even in bed. I had been sitting on the couch, staring at the front door like it might open on its own. After Nora's confession, after the hours of fear and regret, I still didn't know where Ethan was, or what he now believed about me. So when the knock sounded, my heart didn't just jump. It clenched. I approached the door slowly, every part of me bracing for more bad news. But when I pulled it open, there he was. Ethan, my son, my boy, the child I failed, the man I tried so desperately to support, and the heart I thought I had lost forever. He stood under the soft porch light like a ghost returning home. Messy hair, swollen eyes, backpack slung over one shoulder, and a look that shattered me. "Dad," he whispered, voice trembling. "I'm sorry." I froze. Not because I didn't want to hug him, but because I didn't trust my legs to hold me up if I moved too fast. Then Ethan stepped forward, slowly at first, then all at once. He wrapped his arms around me. A deep, desperate, childlike hug. The first hug I'd received from him since he was 12 years old. I felt his shoulders shake. I felt years of unspoken pain fall between us. "I'm sorry," he repeated again and again. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I should have talked to you. I should have known something was wrong." I held him tightly, afraid he might disappear if I let go. When we finally stepped inside, he took a deep breath and said, "I know the truth now." Those 5 words lifted a weight off my soul. He continued, his voice steadier. "Chloe told me everything. She showed me the messages. And Miles came clean. He sent me the emails Nora wrote him. The manipulation, the instructions, the threats. It was all her. I exhaled so deeply I felt lightheaded. Chloe hadn't lied. Miles hadn't lied. And Ethan finally knew the truth. But one thing still haunted me. Where's Chloe now? I asked. He gave a small, emotional smile. She's outside. In the car. She said you might need a moment with me. That sentence almost broke me all over again. This young woman, who had been manipulated, framed, emotionally ambushed, still thought about my feelings. I followed Ethan outside. Chloe stood near the driveway, hugging her arms against the cold. Her eyes were swollen from tears, but when she saw me, she forced a faint smile. "I'm sorry, Dr. Cole," she whispered. "I know, all of this got too complicated, and I'm sorry the pain touched you too." Before I could respond, Ethan reached for her hand. Not reluctantly, not hesitantly, but with certainty. "No," he said softly. "They didn't break because of us. They broke because of lies, and because I didn't trust the people I love." His voice cracked. "I won't make that mistake again." Chloe looked at him like she was seeing the man she fell in love with again for the first time. But the moment that truly stunned me, that truly broke me open, came next. Chloe reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small white envelope. Her hands trembled as she held it out toward me. "Dr. Cole," she breathed, voice thick with emotion, "we want you to move in with us." My heart stopped. "We talked about it," she continued, "and we want you close. Not just during the wedding. Not just during crisis. Always." Ethan nodded. "Dad, I don't want distance anymore. We spent too many years living like roommates instead of family." Then Chloe added something I never expected. "I want you to be part of our family. For real. Not by obligation. By choice." For a moment the world froze. Time stopped. The night held its breath. And the little boy inside me, the one who lost his wife, the one who failed his son, the one who believed he had no right to happiness, finally cried. I felt tears spill down my cheeks before I could stop them. Chloe stepped closer and placed the envelope in my hand. Inside were the keys to their new house, the one they hadn't even moved into yet. They saved a room for me. They planned for me. They wanted me, not out of guilt, not out of sympathy, but because they saw me as family, a real family. After years of regret, distance, and silence, I had been given something I never thought I would have again. A home, a future, a second chance. The three of us stood there in the driveway, wrapped in the cold night air, but warmed by something stronger than any fire. Love, forgiveness, redemption, the kind of redemption that doesn't erase the past, but makes the future worth living. But this story isn't only about healing. It's also about consequences. Because while we rebuilt ourselves under the porch light that night, someone else was watching her world begin to crumble. Someone who believed she had already won. Someone who had no idea that the truth she tried to bury was already rising from the ashes. Nora, and her reckoning, was just beginning. Some stories end quietly, with a whisper, a soft closing of a door. But not this one. This story ended the way pain deserves to end, with truth finally louder than lies, with justice finally heavier than manipulation, and with healing finally stronger than heartbreak. After Ethan returned home and we confronted everything together, the truth spread quickly. Miles, the wedding videographer, didn't just apologize. He walked into the sheriff's office and turned over every email Nora had ever sent him, every instruction, every threat, every digital footprint she thought she had hidden. It didn't take long. Nora Graves was arrested for malicious interference, digital harassment, intentional fraud, coordinated manipulation. But the charge that truly mattered was the one that Ethan insisted on adding, emotional coercion. Because Nora didn't just lie. She weaponized trust. She twisted grief. She tried to rip apart a new family just to rebuild an old fantasy. The courtroom was silent when Ethan testified. He spoke with calm, steady heartbreak. Aunt Nora didn't just try to ruin my marriage. She tried to rewrite my life. She wanted to replace the father I finally forgave. And I won't let her hurt us again. Nora didn't look at him. She didn't look at me. She stared at the floor. The place where every lie eventually falls. Justice wasn't dramatic. It was simple. She lost. We didn't. But the greatest justice wasn't the courtroom. It was what happened afterward. With the chaos finally gone, Ethan and Chloe decided to do something I never expected. They renewed their vows. Not in a mountain lodge. Not in front of guests or cameras. Not with decorations or speeches. Just the two of them. On a quiet hill overlooking Bluestone Ridge. I watched from a small distance as Ethan held Chloe's hands and whispered, "This time it's only truth. Only you and me. And no one else gets to write our story." She cried. He cried. And yes, I cried too. A family rebuilt. Not by force, but by choice. Miles filmed the renewal ceremony, but only after Ethan asked him to. He had earned back his trust the hard way, and he became one of Ethan's closest friends afterward. Watching them all together, Ethan, Chloe, Miles, I felt something I hadn't felt in decades. Pride, forgiveness, peace. For the first time, my home wasn't a place of regrets. It was a place of beginnings. 1 week after the vow renewal, Ethan came to me holding a small wooden box. He sat beside me on the porch and said, "Dad, I kept something after Mom died. I didn't know when to give it to you." I opened the box. Inside was Sarah's wedding ring, the one I thought I had lost forever. Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. "Mom would want you to have it," Ethan whispered, "and she'd want you to know we're okay now. We're really okay." I didn't speak. I couldn't. But Ethan smiled, a smile full of healing, and home, and everything we had fought to reclaim. And then he said the words that healed the deepest wound of all. "Welcome back, Dad." In that moment, every scar finally made sense. Today, I live with Ethan and Chloe in their new home. I don't hover. I don't interfere. I simply belong. We cook dinners together. We watch old movies on Fridays. We laugh in ways that once felt impossible. Chloe calls me Dad without hesitation now. Ethan doesn't flinch when he hugs me anymore. And when their baby arrives, yes, a baby, they've already asked me to be the one who cuts the umbilical cord, a full circle, that I never believed I deserved, but received anyway. Because sometimes revenge isn't a weapon. Sometimes revenge is rebuilding the life someone tried to destroy and making it stronger than it ever was. We healed, together, and this time, nothing and no one will ever break us again. If this story moved you, if the justice satisfied you, if the healing touched your heart, then my friend, don't leave just yet. This is VengeTalesDiary, where real emotions meet powerful endings, where justice always finds its way, and where every story reminds us that no wound stays open forever. So please, like this video, leave a comment telling us your favorite moment, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping stories of betrayal, redemption, and revenge. Your support helps us bring more stories to life. Until the next tale, stay strong, stay kind, and remember, every revenge story is really a healing story in disguise.